Welcome, everybody. How are you all today? Well, we're glad to be here today to recognize one of your very special classmates. I'm going to bring up him, his mom, and his little brother, and we're going to start the celebration today. So I'm going to ask Brodie, can you come up? His mom, Erica, and his brother, Carter. No, Carter doesn't want to come? That's fine. Come on up, Erica. It's fine. So my name's Chief Bagonis. How are you? So one of the great things that we do as police officers is we belong to all kinds of different organizations. And today we're celebrating one of the neatest organizations that I know of as a police officer, and it's Cops for Kids with Cancer. So we all know that Brodie is recovering, right, Brodie? How about a big round of applause for Brodie? And a big round of applause for Mom Erica. So about a year or so, Brodie went to the doctors and found out that he was suffering from a thing called Burkitt's lymphoma. Scary stuff. And he had to leave school for a period of time to get treatment. And he's doing well now, right, Brodie? He's a bundle of energy. So what we do is when we find out through this great organization, Cops for Kids with Cancer, we find out that there's a family that has someone, a youngster, that's battling cancer and getting treatment, we pull some money together. And they do that quite often for these young folks throughout the community. Brodie's our fourth in Wilmington that we have celebrated and offered $5,000. How about that, folks? So usually when I get notified, usually through either Cops for Kids with Cancer or somebody in the community, that there's a family struggling, we start the paperwork process, we bring everybody together, and I like to go meet the family. So it was interesting the day that I went and met Brodie and his mom and his little brother Carter. Hi, Carter. Everybody say hi, Carter. He's a little nervous, that's okay. And I met them, and the one thing I noticed was an amazing amount of energy. Not Mom, she looked exhausted, but the two brothers were very, very full of energy, bouncing and jumping, and I had a great conversation with them. It was really, really exciting. And I thought, wow, that's really neat. What a bunch of energy. And I wondered, well, when he was sick, he probably didn't have that much energy. I'm sure Carter did. But at the end of the day, I said, well, that's really neat. But I learned an awesome story that day. And I was kind of surprised and taken back. I was like, wow, that's really a neat thing. And I learned that there's somebody else that we should recognize today as well. Okay? Because it was somebody special that you all know that stepped up when she herself was battling cancer. And it was very interesting to hear that story that I heard, and I'd like to call up Mrs. Gallo Dunn to the center. Because I think this is really special. Mrs. Dunn, you all know, had to take some time off from school.
I thought you had the wrong person.
No, because she herself was battling cancer. When I heard the story about what Mrs. Dunn did and how she took care of Brodie. Now, she was Brodie's third grade teacher at the time, or second grade?
Second.
Second grade teacher.
Second rules, right, Brodie?
Second rules. And while she was out receiving treatment for cancer, she volunteered to tutor Brodie so he could get and graduate with his class, which I think is awesome. We need to really offer her a great round of applause. But that wasn't all I learned. So when I came and I spoke to Mrs. King, how about a round of applause for Mrs. King? And all of your teachers and all the staff, you guys have no idea how much you're loved. So I asked Mrs. King just to send me a quick bio of Mrs. Dunn. And when I read it, I said, wow, this is really, really kind of special. So forgive me, but I'm going to read the words not only of Mrs. King, but of some of the staff here and what they think about Mrs. Dunn. So Mrs. King said, she is truly the kindest and most giving teacher I have ever met. That's high praise. That's pretty good stuff. Never, ever letting a colleague down and always lending a hand of support. And we saw that certainly with Brodie. The school staff said, we have a very special person in Mrs. Dunn. This amazing person, Mrs. Sharon Gallo Dunn, has been a second grade teacher here at the Shawsheen School for over 20 years, and that's a pretty amazing feat in itself. Her kindness, generosity are unmatched. Her infectious laughter can be heard throughout the building. Her wonderful sense of humor and outlook on life are inspiring. Whenever someone's in need, Mrs. Gallo Dunn is there with a smile, a hug, or a way to help. We certainly saw that. When she was told that she had cancer, she never let it change her. That's special. She only became more determined to beat it, and as usual, more determined to help others. During her treatment, she continued to visit the Shawsheen School to see her students and make sure they were happy and doing well. One student in particular held a special place in her heart, Brodie Rawson, a boy battling cancer on his own. As she was fighting the cancer, Mrs. Gallo Dunn went to visit Brodie in the hospital and support him in his fight. She continued to see Brodie and tutor him to keep him up to date in schoolwork. Mrs. Gallo Dunn was not letting cancer beat her, and there was absolutely no way she was going to let it beat one of her students. Thank you, Mrs. Gallo Dunn. You are an inspiration. And we have a small gift for you.
I need a hug from my
There you
parents. I love you. When you're old and toothless, you're going to come and visit me, right?
I don't know if she'll get a motorcycle ride. You have to ask these gentlemen here. Do we have a helmet?
Stay up here until we make a presentation, okay?
So there's another special person I'd like to recognize who's not here today, and it works very closely with the organization Cops for Kids with Cancer. Carol Farwell is, I believe, a social worker at the hospital that Brodie was at, and she recognized the struggles that the family goes through, because there's a lot. You know, you have to take time off from work to be there during treatment, and there's a lot of pain and anxiety in that, but there's also a financial difficulty that comes with that, because you're not at work, you're not doing the other things you need to do. Just the incidentals of parking and dinners and all those other things are very, very, very frustrating. And you'll hear from Ed McNally today, who represents Cops for Kids with Cancer. That's the very reason why this organization was developed, to help families in need. So at this point, I'd like to bring up Ed McNally. Ed McNally is a former Boston police officer. Everybody, red round of applause. He's retired. So that means he doesn't get paid anymore, but he does work at this very, very hard. He is constantly on the phone with families, with police officers and police chiefs. So I'd like to give him another big round of applause. Please recognize that tonight.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chief, and all of the officers and motorcycles behind. I'm sure everybody had a pretty good show they put on for you. As the Chief said, my name is Ed McNally. I'm a retired Boston police captain. But more importantly, I'm on the board of directors of Cops for Kids with Cancer. And let me just give you a little background on what Cops for Kids with Cancer is and what we do. Cops for Kids with Cancer was started back in 2004 by another Boston police captain by the name of John Dow, who at the time was suffering from cancer. And while in the hospital, he saw a lot of children being treated, and he saw that there was a need for us to assist them families. And he started this organization called Cops for Kids with Cancer. The first fundraiser that we had was a golf tournament between the Boston Police and the Garda, which is the police force from Ireland. And we raised a couple of dollars, and we donated it to the Mercy Hospital over in Ireland. Since that time, we've expanded. What Cops for Kids with Cancer does is, since 2004, we have given families over $2.5 million. We give out $5,000 to 6 families every month, or roughly $360,000 a year. We also provide 4 hospitals with $10,000 each, so we give away $400,000 every year to assist families that have a child stricken with cancer. I guess the proudest part of this organization is everybody that works for this organization is a volunteer. That means nobody gets paid. Unlike some organizations you probably heard about, nobody in this organization gets paid, everybody volunteers. What we try to do is to try to make the life easier on a family that has a child stricken with cancer with some financial assistance. In a moment, we're going to give a check to the family for $5,000. There's no strings attached. What this check is to be used for is whatever they deem is necessary to help them get their child and fight this disease and get him back here so he won't have a tutor. He'll be in the regular 3rd grade. So with that, Chief, if you could assist me and we'll present the check.
Thank you. So, Erica, on behalf of the Cops for Kids with Cancer organization of the Wilmington Police Department, we'd like to offer your family this donation to you folks no questions asked, and you know, do whatever you need with it for $5,000. God bless you.
Okay, buddy?
Right there, buddy?
And you as
All
well.
right.
Thank you for your work.
How much fun was that, folks? Let's hear it real loud, like I'm going on summer vacation soon. Yeah. What I love.
Mom, you want to say something? They usually want you to.
You want to say something, Brodie?
You want to say something? Go ahead. I'll teach you lots of words I can't believe.
They asked me to say a few words. Brodie's shy. Mom is shy. I'm shy. Thank you. This is such a treat. And hopefully, courage that you showed last year will help everybody when they're in a rough time say, I'm going to be brave about this. And stick together like the family of the Shawsheen School, right? All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So with that, I guess that you guys want to get back to the business of preparing for summer vacation. I know you probably have a lot of schoolwork to do and some tests to take and things like that. Homework, yeah. So I'm going to put in a special request for everybody to get extra homework and an assignment over the weekend. Who's with me? I promise I'll ask Mrs. King to ask everybody to go easy on you. So with that, thank you very much, folks. Another big cheer for Brodie and his mom and his brother, the Cops for Kids with Cancer. Don't ever forget, you have a lot of friends out there you don't even know of, all right? Take care of your teachers, take care of your schoolmates. Thank you.